friends, and thanks for joining us on this mini masterclass that's all to do with PSM. Today, we're talking about incident investigation. That's one of these 14 elements of PSM. And we're going to discuss a little bit the questions like what incidents need to be investigated, how long do you need to keep the documentation, and why does all this really matter? So to add some background and color, the process safety management program was really created because of industrial accidents that often resulted in the deaths of contract workers or employees. And so it was really this whole entire program, all 14 elements, was structured for the safety of the individual, the company, the assets, contractors, and the community around it. And so incident investigation is one of these key elements that's all around if there is an incident, meaning that all the safety systems that you've put in place have somewhat failed, right? For like something to get past like alarms, to get past safety interlocks, to get past like audits and checks and things, all these different like checks and balances to the point where it results in an incident, then we need to talk about that. We need to figure out why. What was the breakdown in communication? Was it a breakdown in the actual equipment? Was it a breakdown in the way that that equipment was operated? Maybe the equipment was totally fine, but the way the equipment was operated was not fine. It was not per the manual or per the manufacturer's recommendations. Maybe it was good equipment and it was operated just fine, but there was a procedure that was kind of deficient, or maybe there was some kind of communication error between an operator and a contractor, or shifts of operations, or management and operations personnel, or something. There's some breakdown in communication. And we need to talk about that. We need to find a systematic approach to figure out what exactly went wrong, because if we can do that, then we can change it so that it doesn't happen again. There's a couple of different methods that you might employ depending on what type of incident it was or what the issues were. But one of the most common is a root cause analysis. That's where you sit down as a group, everyone who has something to do with this process or something to do with the incident, and you start from the end event, right? The incident, and you work backwards, and you say, well, this is the thing that happened. Why did that happen? And you just go back one level and you kind of take a look at it, and then maybe there's other reasons why that happened, and you kind of discover that somewhere along this path there's a root cause that led, almost like dominoes, kind of like dominoes that are falling in a row, that led to the incident. And so it's a systematic approach to really dive down deep and find that root cause. Once you know that root cause, then you can fix it, and then there's not going to be an issue again. Now, what types of incidents do you do a root cause analysis? Of course, you should do one if someone ever gets injured. And that should go without saying. That's pretty common practice. But maybe what's a little bit less known, but just as important, is near misses. What do I mean about near miss? So a near miss is loosely defined as something that could have resulted in an injury or death or damage to property or environment, but it didn't, and it didn't because of luck, essentially. Like maybe an example that I would just throw out there is like if someone is walking through an area and something heavy on top of a scaffold falls, and it falls on the ground and it does not hit the person, right? It was pretty much luck that like separated this near miss event of something falling on the ground versus the person accidentally being underneath it and getting hit in the head with the thing, right? So there's nothing except for luck that protected that person. And so we might be tempted to just be like, whew, okay, well, no one was hurt, no damage to the property or anything like that. And so it's just, we don't want to do paperwork. We don't want a black stain on our record or something. So we're good. Just tell that guy to not walk by over there. You might be tempted to do that, and it's kind of the easy way out, but it's not correct, and it does not lead to better operations and better practices. And so the near misses should be subject to the root cause analysis. You start asking the questions, Why was that person in that area? What kind of breakdown happened to put him there? Why was that thing that fell off? Why did it fall off? Why was it not tied off or secured? Is there a different way we could do that, or where's the miscommunication? So you get the idea. This is what this element of PSM is all about. Once an investigation happens, how long should you keep those records? Well, 5 years is pretty much how long you should keep those. And the reason that's the case is because when a PSM auditing group comes in to audit all your documentation, they're going to ask to see these incident investigation reports and the root cause analysis, and they're going to see your discussion, and they're going to want to know that you made some kind of change to make sure that incidents like that wouldn't happen again. And this is all to help you better operate, right? It's all to have a better conversation around this, because if an incident happened and someone got hurt or killed and OSHA was brought in to audit, they're going to be looking for your incident investigations. And if they realize that you have incomplete investigations or complete investigations with resulting like action items or things that came out of the study that you never resolved, didn't track it, then it's going to reflect very poorly on the operating company, and it'll likely result in heavier fines or some other consequences. And so we talk a little bit deeper about this in our full masterclass. And some of the things we dive deep about is what's a good way to track all of the things that are discussed in an incident investigation? What is a great systematic approach to make sure that every action item has an owner and that owner sees it through to completion? Because it can add up, it can be a lot to track. And very similar to a lot of other action items related to PSM things, you need to be able to demonstrate as an operator that you are tracking those through to completion. Otherwise, it's going to come back to bite you. Okay, and we know what it feels like to be a PSM coordinator or in the operations side of things and just have a mountain of action items, and you're trying to track it on spreadsheets, and you're trying to track it on like paper documentation, and you're constantly emailing or calling or haggling with everybody to be like, please sign off on this or that. And so we know what that feels like. The great news is that there's some good enterprise software tools out there that'll automate this at a very nominal cost. And so we dive deep into those tools, how you use them, and best practices and strategies in our full masterclass. And so we're excited to see you there. Thanks for tuning in. Have an awesome day.